Chapter 1. Last Call. The tap handle gave a soft squeak as Ren Callahan pulled the final pint of dark ale. The bar had settled into its usual late-night lull. Neon signs buzzed faintly above rows of liquor bottles, casting moody streaks of blue and amber across the polished counter. It was nearly closing time at the Hollow Oak, a roadside bar tucked between a forgotten mountain highway and the edge of an ancient forest. Ren glanced at the clock. 12:58 a.m. 2 more minutes. She wiped her hands on her striped apron, stifling a yawn. Her copper hair was twisted into a messy bun, and a smudge of cinnamon from an earlier spilled cocktail still stained her collar. She didn't care. Ticks had been good, and more importantly, the night had been quiet. No broken bottles, no bar fights, no one lingering too long near the door. She liked it this way. Predictable, peaceful, safe. Last call. She called out to the 3 remaining patrons, 2 weary truckers and a man in a hooded coat tucked into a corner booth. They nodded absently. Then the door opened. Ren turned with the practiced smile every bartender wears after midnight. 5 men walked in. They didn't look like the usual drunks or road-weary travelers. No, these men moved like shadows, stitched together by strength. Broad-shouldered, tall, and utterly in sync, like wolves in human skin. Their eyes gleamed strangely, even in the dim bar lights, flickering gold, silver, and storm gray. Ren blinked. They were beautiful, dangerous, and magnetic. The leader, tall, dark, and with an unreadable expression, stepped forward. His gaze pinned hers, but he didn't smile. He didn't need to. His presence filled the air like static before lightning. "We're not too late, are we?" he asked, his voice low and smooth. "And no," Ren stammered, "we're open for 2 more minutes." His lips curved faintly. "That's all we need." The others followed without a word, taking up a booth in the corner where shadows clung like breath in winter. She noticed how people who had been finishing their drinks suddenly got up and left. All of them, even the hooded man. Now it was just her and the 5 strangers. Ren swallowed and reached for her towel, pretending to clean a glass. "Can I get you anything?" she called over. The tall one nodded. "Whiskey neat for all of us?" She grabbed 5 glasses and poured with shaking hands. Their eyes were on her the entire time, watching, studying. She felt it under her skin like heat, like pressure, like hunger. She tried not to meet their gazes, tried not to notice how their irises glinted unnaturally, tried not to feel how the air had shifted, thicker, charged. She set the glasses down at their table. As she turned to walk away, one of them growled, low, deep, primal. She froze. The blonde one, slightly younger, leaner, eyes like pale ice, had gone ridgy. His glass shattered in his grip, amber liquid pouring onto the floor. "Dante!" One of them hissed, grabbing his shoulder. But Dante didn't answer. His pupils dilated. His breathing quickened, then crack. His spine bent unnaturally. Ren stepped back, heart pounding. The next sound was a ripping of cloth. Dante's back bulged beneath his coat, bones realigning. Fur, silver and white, erupted along his arms. "No!" gasped another man standing. "It's her. It's her scent." Ren turned and bolted behind the bar. What the hell is going on? The man who had spoken first, the leader, reached for her. "Don't run." But it was too late. The scent had settled. The shift had begun. All 5 of them, each powerful, dominant, and alpha in their own right, began to change. Muscles snapped and surged under their skin. Eyes glowed like lanterns. Fangs broke through human mouths. The leader clenched his jaw, veins pulsing at his temples. "Get control now. You'll hurt her." But they couldn't. Not yet. The transformation overtook them. Ren stumbled back, crashing into the shelves. Bottles shattered. She pressed herself against the wall, trembling. This wasn't real. This was a nightmare. It had to be. She watched in stunned terror as 5 massive wolves stood where the men had been, panting, snarling. Bodies coiled like springs. Except they weren't attacking. They were staring at her. And their eyes, those same glowing eyes, weren't filled with rage. They were filled with recognition, like she belonged to them, like they'd found something impossible. "No," Ren whispered. "This isn't the largest wolf." The leader stepped forward. He didn't snarl, didn't growl. He lowered his head and bowed. Ren's breath caught in her throat. "What? What are you?" Then, as quickly as it had begun, the change reversed. Bones cracked, fur vanished, and 5 naked men knelt where the wolves had stood, breathing hard, sweat dripping down their backs. The leader rose sun. Slowly, chest heaving, he walked toward her with calm, deliberate steps and took a bar towel from the counter, wrapping it around his waist. "I'm sorry you had to see that," he said softly. She stared at him, wide-eyed, chest heaving. "What are you? Who are you?" He extended his hand. "My name is Nox Vin. I'm the alpha of the West Hollow Pacific." He nodded behind him. "They're alphas too. We weren't supposed to be here. We weren't supposed to shift. But you did." She breathed. He nodded. "Because of you." She shook her head. "That's not possible." "It is. You're wolves." He tilted his head. "And you're not human." Her breath caught. "No," she said, voice shaking. "That's wrong. I'm just Ren. I run a bar. I have nothing. No family, no pack. I'm nobody." Nox's golden eyes softened. "That's what they wanted you to believe." A long silence. Then he added quietly, "But your scent just triggered 5 bonded shifts. That hasn't happened in over 2 centuries. It only occurs when a Luna bloodline is awakened." "I don't know what that means," she whispered. "You will," he said, "but you need to leave this place now." Ren backed away, heart slamming. "No, you're crazy. I'm not going anywhere with you." A sudden growl sounded behind her. She turned. Another man stood in the broken doorway, cloaked in black. His eyes were red, and they weren't friendly. Nox moved like lightning, throwing Ren behind him. "It's too late," he muttered. "They've already found her. Chapter 2, marked without knowing. Don't move." Nox growled, his body shielding Ren from the figure in the doorway. The intruder stood in silence, tall, lean, wrapped in a tattered cloak that smelled of ash and rot. His eyes burned crimson, and the air around him shimmered with an unnatural chill. Ren had never seen anything like it. Every instinct screamed at her to run, but her legs wouldn't move. The man took 1 step into the bar. "So, this is the girl." Nox bared his teeth, his voice dangerously low. "You're trespassing. She's unmarked," the man said, ignoring him completely. "And still unbound." "Not for long." The stranger tilted his head. "You really believe she'll survive it? That 5 alphas can share a bond that was meant for 1? His smile was all teeth. "You're playing with a prophecy none of you understand?" Nox didn't answer. Behind him, the other 4 alphas had dressed hastily, forming a loose half-circle between Ren and the danger at the door. Even in human form, their energy pulsed like thunder, raw and crackling. The intruder's eyes lingered on Ren. She smells like them, all of them, but more like someone else, someone older. Ren felt something burning at her chest. She glanced down. The small pendant around her neck, once dull silver, was glowing faint blue, as if stirred by his words. "I've seen enough," the man said finally. "She's the one. But she won't live long enough to understand why." He turned to leave, but Dante stepped forward. "Not so fast." The blonde alpha's voice was filled with a dangerous calm, but his fingers twitched, fighting the pull of his wolf. The intruder paused. "Try me, pup." Dante lunged, but in a blink, the stranger vanished in a gust of smoke and wind. The door swung violently in his wake. Silence fell. "Who was that?" Ren finally choked out, her back pressed to the shelf. Nox exhaled slowly. "A whisper fong, a rogue tracker, part of a cult that feeds off broken bonds and forbidden bloodlines. They've been searching for you longer than you've been alive." She blinked. "Why me?" "Because you're not just a girl behind a bar," said one of the other alphas, Ezrin, the silver-haired one with calm, academic eyes. "You're descended from the Luna line, the only known bloodline to trigger multiple alpha shifts at once." "The last one was hunted into extinction. But I'm just Ren," she said weakly. "I don't even shift." "Not yet," Nox said gently. "But your scent just told 5 alphas that you're our mate." "No," she said quickly, shaking her head. "That's not possible. You don't even know me. This is crazy. This is some kind of trick. She stopped because Nock had stepped closer, and the scent coming from him wrapped around her like warmth, like memory, like the way rain smells after a fire. And her wolf, if that's what it was, shivered awake inside her bones. "I can't be your mate," she whispered. "I didn't even know shifters existed until tonight." "But your body knows," Nox said, "and so does ours." Ren turned to the others, Ezrin, Dante, Jax, the wild-eyed one with sun-browned skin and a nervous twitch, and Lurik, the quiet, broad-shouldered one who hadn't spoken, but whose gaze hadn't left her since they entered. All 5 looked at her, not with lust or hunger, but with recognition. And that terrified her more. "How is it even possible?" she asked, voice cracking. "I triggered 5 shifts at once. That can't happen. That shouldn't happen." Ezra nodded. "It shouldn't. Not unless you were carrying a dormant bloodline strong enough to override the moon's normal rules. You're not just our mate. You're something older, something lost." "And the Whisper Fong?" she asked. "What do they want with me?" Nox's jaw tightened. "To break you before the bond solidifies. If they do that, your bloodline dies with you, and so does the balance it's meant to restore." Ren pressed her hands to her face. 1 minute, she was slinging beers and cleaning sticky bar tables. Now she was apparently the key to a prophecy involving 5 alphas, a cursed cult, and a bloodline she'd never even heard of. "I can't do this," she whispered. "I don't want this." "You don't have a choice," Jack said. "None of us did. The moon chose. I didn't ask for any of you." "No," said Lorik, finally stepping forward. His voice was deep, steady. "But we've waited our whole lives for you." Ren's throat tightened. Nukes reached out, not grabbing, just offering. "Let us protect you." She stared at his hand, torn between instinct and fear. I don't know who I am anymore, she said. Nox's golden eyes softened. Then let us help you find out. Later that night, the bar was left in ruins. Shattered glass, overturned stools, claw marks across the wooden floor. But Ren wasn't there to see it. She sat in the back seat of a sleek black SUV, wrapped in Nox's jacket, clutching the still glowing pendant at her throat. They were headed toward a place called Haven's Reach, a neutral zone between the 5 territories, deep in the forest, hidden even from satellite view. No cell service, no lights, just a cabin, and 5 shifters watching her like she held the moon in her veins. Nox sat beside her, silent, but his presence grounded her. I don't want to die because of something I didn't choose, she said after a long silence. You won't, he promised. We won't let them touch you. You keep saying we. How can 5 alphas share a mate? Doesn't that break all your rules? Nox gave a small smile. We weren't raised by normal rules. The 5 of us are bound by a vow older than most pacts, the Alpha Pact. We were born under the same moon cycle, bonded by blood before we could speak. If one of us finds our fated mate, all of you feel it. She finished quietly. He nodded. You're not just a mate. You're the link, the heart. Ren turned to the window, watching as the trees blurred by. She didn't feel powerful. She felt terrified. But beneath all of it, something inside her stirred. A whisper in her bones, a song in her blood, something old, something rising. Chapter 3. The Blood Moon's Echo. Ren stood in the middle of the cabin's main room, frozen. The hearth crackled quietly behind her, but she barely noticed the warmth. Instead, her gaze was fixed on the ancient tapestry that hung above the stone mantel. A faded image of a silvery woman surrounded by wolves, her hand outstretched to a blood-red moon. She looks like you, Dante murmured, stepping beside her. She's dead, Ren said flatly. Everyone keeps comparing me to women who are dead or cursed or mythical. I'm not any of those things. You're more than you think, Nox said, entering the room behind her. And you're not alone. I was, she said, turning to face him. Until last night, I lived completely alone. I didn't even know what I was. And now I'm surrounded by strangers who shift into wolves and tell me I'm their mate. Nox didn't flinch. We're not strangers anymore. Ren's eyes flashed. You don't get to decide that for me. A tense silence followed. Ezrin broke it gently. Ren, we know this is overwhelming, but there's something you need to see. It's about your bloodline, about the Luna Calalers. I thought they were extinct, she replied. They were, Ezrin said, until your scent triggered 5 alphas simultaneously. He motioned to a small oak chest on the table. With reverent hands, he opened it to reveal a weathered book. The cover bore a symbol that matched the pendant around Ren's neck, a crescent moon wrapped in ivy. Ren hesitated, then stepped closer. This belonged to the last lunar caller, Ezrin explained. Her name was Lisra Day. She vanished over 2 decades ago. Some say she went mad. Others say she was betrayed by her mate. Ren frowned. Day, my mother's last name was Carrick. Ezrin gave her a knowing look. She changed it to hide you. Nukes moved beside her, his expression unreadable. Lisra Day was your mother. That pendant you wear was her focus stone, only passed down to daughters born under the blood moon. Ren's throat tightened. Why didn't anyone tell me? Because knowing would have made you a target too soon, Lorik said from the corner. His voice was deep and low, like distant thunder. Your mother hit you in human territory, suppressing your shift, your scent, everything. She paid the whisper phone to spare you, but they came anyway because the seal is breaking. Ezrin said, your bloodline is waking up. You triggered a shift in 5 alphas. That hasn't happened in 200 years. And now what? She asked. I'm supposed to what? Embrace my destiny? Learn magic? Bond to 5 guys I barely know? No, Nox said softly. You're supposed to survive. The words landed like ice. Ren looked down at her hands. They were shaking. Ezrin offered her the book. There's something in here we need you to read. Tonight is a blood moon, the first in 13 years. Your mother left a passage marked. Ren hesitated, then took the book. The pages smelled of old wood smoke and rosemary. She flicked to the marked page and read aloud. The lunar bond is not a choice, but an awakening. When the blood moon rises, the caller's soul stirs. Her scent becomes a prophecy. Her presence, power. Her presence, power. 5 shall rise, bound to her light. But only one may hold her heart, unless the moon deems otherwise. A chill passed through her. Ezrin continued, this passage was written for you. Tonight, when the blood moon reaches its peak, your body will begin to shift, unless it's sealed again. But sealing it would also suppress who you truly are. Your choice. Ren looked around the room at Nox, who watched her like she held the sky. Dante, still tense from holding back his wolf. At Jax, who stood by the window fidgeting, and Lorik, arms crossed but gaze locked on her every move. Even Ezrin the scholar watched with careful reverence. I didn't ask for this, she whispered. No one ever does, Nox replied, but we'll face it with you, whatever you choose. Outside, the wind picked up. The moon, red as blood, peeked over the treetops. Later that night, the cabin had grown eerily quiet. Ren stood on the porch, wrapped in a fur-lined cloak, watching the moon rise. The pendant on her neck pulsed in time with her heartbeat. Every breath she took seemed to thrum with something deeper, older. Nox joined her. You should be resting, he said gently. I can't sleep. It's like something in me is crawling. That's your wolf? She turned toward him, eyes wide. You really believe I'm one of you? He nodded. Not just one of us. You're the center. Ren wrapped her arms around herself. I don't know how to shift. You don't need to. If the moon wills it, it'll happen on its own. She swallowed. What if I don't survive it? You will, he said, his voice certain. You're stronger than you think. She looked at him. Why do you trust me so easily? Because the second I smelled your scent, every part of me recognized you, not just as a mate, but as someone I've waited for my entire life. Period. A silence stretched between them, not awkward, but deep. Then Ren asked, what happens if I shift tonight? Nox's expression grew serious. Then you'll have to decide what kind of bond you want. The moon may allow all 5 of us to bond with you, but it's your choice. And if I choose none of you? His jaw tensed, but he nodded. Then we'll protect you anyway, even if it breaks us. Ren looked out at the moon again. Her heartbeat is like war drums now. Her skin prickled. Her breath came fast. I think it's starting, she whispered. Nooks moved closer but didn't touch her. Then don't fight it. Let it come. She dropped to her knees, gasping. Pain, then heat, fire in her bones. Her vision blurred, her limbs ached. She felt like her body was tearing itself apart from the inside out. The door slammed open behind her. The others rushed onto the porch, their eyes glowing in alarm. "She's shifting," Ezrin cried. "Protect the perimeter," Nox shouted. Dante shifted mid-leap, running into the woods. Jax followed, already half-transformed. Lorik stood beside Nox, watching her with quiet agony. Ren cried out. Then something ripped through her. Light, not fur, burst from her chest. Not a wolf, a flame. Ezrin gasped. "She's not just shifting, she's channeling the moon." Nox stepped forward, voice soft. "Ren, look at me." She opened her glowing silver eyes. He knelt, cupping her face. "You're not broken. You're not cursed. You're becoming." And the moon above them pulsed once. Bright and blinding, then faded back to red. Chapter 4. The Council's Hunt. The silence after the shift was almost louder than the storm that preceded it. Ren lay curled on the cabin porch, her skin warm with lingering energy. She hadn't grown fur. She hadn't transformed into a wolf. Instead, her body had surged with moonlight, an ethereal silver glow that had burst outward and wrapped her in flame-shaped halos. Nox stood beside her, speechless. The others had returned from the woods, panting, eyes wide. Ezrin spoke first. "It wasn't a full shift." "No," Nox said slowly, crouching beside Ren. "It was something else." Ren opened her eyes, still shimmering. "I didn't become a wolf," she rasped, "but I felt her inside me, my wolf." Ezrin knelt beside her with reverence. "You connected to her essence, but something stopped the full transformation, or protected her from it." Lorik stepped forward. Ezrin looked up sharply. "You think she was shielded?" "Not by us," Lorik said. "By something older." Jax paced the porch. "Then what now?" "She lit up like a star and nearly leveled the whole forest. That glow could have been seen for miles." Nox turned to him, jaw set. "Then we need to move her now." Before anyone could respond, a low hum echoed from deep in the forest, like a horn vibrating against the bones of the trees. Ezrin palled. "They're already here." Dante growled, fists clenched. "The council." "Who?" ... Ren whispered. "The Shifter High Council," Ezrin said. "They are the enforcers, the regulators of bloodlines. When a power anomaly is detected, especially one that violates the moon's balance, they come to assess, contain, or eliminate. Eliminate." Ren tried to stand, but her knees buckled. Nox caught her instantly. "They won't touch you." "You don't understand," Ezrin said. "They won't ask questions. They'll see her as a threat." Ren's mind spun. "Why? I didn't do anything." "You exist," Lorik said. "And sometimes that's enough." Nuke's hands tightened around Ren's arms. "We'll hide her." "No," Ezrin said, shaking his head. "You know how this works. The council has a scent for everything. Bloodlines, shifts, even prophecy. If they've picked up on hers, they'll track her anywhere." Jack swore under his breath. "So we fight." Ezrin hesitated. "If we fight, we make her guilty before she's even judged." "So we let them take her?" Dante snarled. "No," Ren said suddenly. Her voice wasn't loud. But it was firm. "No one's taking me anywhere." They all turned toward her. "I don't care what power they think I have, or what rules I'm breaking. I didn't ask for this. I don't want to be some ancient key or prophecy trigger. I just want to survive and figure out who I am. But I won't run. Not again." Nox's eyes gleamed with pride. "Then we stand with you." She met his gaze. "Even if that means breaking council law." He smiled slightly. "The law means nothing if it destroys the one thing worth protecting." Lorik stepped forward. "Then we prepare." They didn't have long. Within the hour, shadows stirred in the forest beyond the tree. 5 figures emerged, tall, draped in black robes edged in silver thread. Their presence made the air heavier. Their eyes glowed with faint moonlight, but cold and distant. At the front stood a woman with short white hair and a tattooed crescent over one brow. Her voice carried like frost. Nox Vin, Dante Forn, Jax of Iran, Lorik Moore, Ezrin Kale. Her gaze landed finally on Ren, and the anomaly. She has a name, Nox said coolly. Ren, unregistered, unbound, unauthorized shifter awakening under a blood moon, caused 5 simultaneous alpha shifts and an unregulated lunar surge. Do you deny this? Ren swallowed hard. I didn't cause anything. The woman raised an elegant brow. Intent is irrelevant. Consequences are not. Nox stepped in front of Ren. You'll have to go through us. I'd rather not, the woman said. There's protocol. We scan, we assess. If she's harmless, she walks free. And if she's not, Dante asked sharply, we contain. Another robed figure said from the back before the prophecy repeats. Ezrin stepped forward. Which prophecy? The one that ended in fire, the woman replied. The Luna Callers destroyed balance once before. We won't let it happen again. Ren felt fury rise in her chest. I'm not my mother. No, the woman agreed. But you are her echo. The tension thickened. Lorik's voice rumbled low. You're not taking her. The council members looked to one another, and then, surprisingly, their leader inclined her head. We will return at the next full moon. We'll test her. If she fails, she will be marked for containment. Dante laughed bitterly. And if we say no, then the entire pack pays the price. She turned without another word, and the others followed. Just as silently as they had arrived, they vanished into the trees. Back inside the cabin, Ren sat with her back to the hearth, staring into the flames. Nox knelt beside her. I'm sorry. She looked at him, eyes hollow. For what? For the life you lost the second we walked into that bar. She gave a half laugh, half sob. That life was already gone. I just didn't know it yet. He brushed a strand of hair from her face. We'll figure this out together. Ezrin entered, holding the old book again. I found something. He opened to a folded page tucked between the binding. It's a map, not of places, but bloodlines, lunar collars, whisperfangs, shadowhorn, and something else. He pointed to a symbol at the center. A burning eye within a moon. What is that? Ren asked. It's you, Ezrin said, or what you're becoming. A hybrid? Jax asked. Ezrin shook his head. A convergence. Nox's voice was barely audible. The moon's equal. They all looked at him. He stood slowly, eyes wide. There was an old myth that if the moon ever bound too much power in one soul, it would either destroy or restore the world. And how do we know which one I am? Ren asked. Nox met her gaze. We don't. Not yet. Chapter 5. Bound to all, claimed by none. Ren didn't sleep that night. While the others took shifts guarding the cabin's perimeter, she sat alone in the small loft, knees hugged to her chest, trying to breathe through the weight in her ribs. 5 mates, 5 strangers, 5 wolves pulled to her by something ancient and incomprehensible. And she didn't belong to any of them. Yet somehow she belonged to all. Below she could hear Lorik sharpening a blade, the scrape of steel on stone like a lullaby of vigilance. Jax whispered with Dante, half arguing, half planning. Ezran moved through the cabin like a ghost, flipping pages, searching for answers. And Knox, always Knox, lingered closest to the stairs. In his presence, a silent vow she didn't yet know how to accept. Ren's fingers traced the lines of the pendant around her neck. The crescent moon still faintly glowed, pulsing with every beat of her heart. Bound to all, she whispered, claimed by none. She wasn't ready to belong to any of them, not yet. But each of them looked at her like she was a piece of a broken soul they'd waited lifetimes to find. And now the council had branded her a threat. She stood and descended the steps softly. Knox rose the moment she entered the room. "You should rest," he said, voice low. "I can't," she murmured. "I feel stretched like I'm unraveling and being stitched together at the same time." Knox moved closer, cautious. "The bond is forming. Even if you haven't claimed us, your wolf has started to recognize ours. You're changing." "I don't want to choose yet," she admitted. "And I don't want to lose myself in the process." "You won't," he said gently. "We're not here to take anything from you, only to protect what you already are." Ren met his gaze. "Then don't ask me to be yours. Not now." Nooks's expression didn't shift. If anything, he looked relieved. "I wasn't going to." She blinked. "You weren't. I love you, Ren. I do. But I love you enough to wait, even if it breaks me." His words hit her like a bomb and a blade. Across the room, Ezran cleared his throat quietly. "I found something." They turned to the table where he had opened a new page in the ancient journal. "It's not just the lunar collars." Ezran said, "The reason you were able to trigger 5 alpha shifts at once, it's because you carry a piece of each bloodline. Your mother wasn't just a lunar collar. She had alpha blood from 5 territories. Each one passed into you." Dante cursed under his breath. So she was hiding more than just her name. "Ren isn't a normal mate." Ezran said, "She's a convergence of alpha lines, which is why we were all pulled to her. Our wolves weren't competing. They were complete." Ren shook her head. "That doesn't make sense. The moon chooses one mate, one bond." Ezran tilted the book toward her. "Except when it doesn't. There's a prophecy, one nearly forgotten, about a moonheart, a soul born only once every few centuries, created when the moon herself needs a vessel to balance fractured power." "Balance fractured power," Jack said. "Like the way the packs are splintering?" Ezran nodded. "And like the rise of the Whisperfang and a return of rogue blood." Dante scowled. "So we're all just part of a plan." "We were always part of something," Lorik said quietly. "We just didn't know her name yet." Ren swallowed. "And what if I don't want this?" Ezran looked at her with something close to sorrow. "Then the moon will choose another, and the balance may shatter instead of mend." "Meaning?" she asked. "Meaning," Knox said, voice hardening. "We lose you, and the world loses its last chance for peace." Silence fell. Finally, Ren turned toward the door. "I need air." She stepped out into the cold, letting the night bite her cheeks. Above, the stars glittered like frost on velvet. The moon, though no longer blood red, still hung heavy and wide, watching her like a sentinel. She heard soft footsteps and wasn't surprised when Ezin joined her. "You're not obligated to be anyone's savior," he said gently, "but you are someone's hope." She looked at him, her voice barely a whisper. "I didn't even know who I was 2 nights ago." I've studied shifter law all my life, Ezrin said. And never once did I believe I'd meet the one written in the Moonheart texts. But here you are, terrified, brave, still standing. I don't feel brave. He smiled. That's how I know you are. Ren looked up at the stars. I don't know who I'll choose, or if I'll choose anyone. Ezrin nodded. We're not asking for your choice, just your truth. My truth. He touched a hand to her pendant. You're already carrying it. Suddenly, a howl rang out across the trees. Urgent, sharp Jax's. Nox burst out the door behind them. Rogues, South Ridge. Lurik and Dante followed, already shifting. Ren turned to Ezrin. Go. I'll stay inside. But Ezrin shook his head. The scent they're following, it's yours. Her blood went cold. What? They're not hunting us, Ren. They're hunting you. Chapter 6. The Rogue's Ultimatum. The trees burned with motion. Nox and the others darted through the forest. Paws footing on damp soil as they raced toward the southern ridge where Jax's warning howl had risen only minutes before. The moon cast a dim glow through shifting branches, enough to see shapes, too many of them. Ezrin stayed at Ren's side as she ran behind the group, the pendant around her neck glowing hot and bright. They're following my scent, she said breathlessly. But why? The council already made their threats. These aren't councils, Ezrin said. These are something worse. Rogues don't care about politics or prophecy. They smell power, and they either want it or want it gone. They reached the ridge in time to see Jack standing over a motionless body. Blood stained the leaves. Only one? Nox asked as he shifted back into human form. For now, Jack said, breathing hard. But I caught their scent. There's at least a dozen nearby circling, testing our defenses. Cowards, Dante growled, pacing beside Lurik. They're not looking for a fight, Jax added. They're waiting. Ren stepped closer, peering down at the rogue. It was a male, young, barely older than she was. His eyes were open, but lifeless, his throat torn. He wasn't attacking, she said quietly. He was delivering something. From inside his torn jacket, a scroll peeked out, old, bound in black cord. Ezrin carefully retrieved it, lips tightening as he read the seal stamped in blood. This is from the Black Crescent. Dante went still. The Shadow Rogues. They don't follow pack law. They don't follow the council. They only answer to one thing: power. Ezrin broke the seal and unrolled the message. The parchment was old and cracked, but the writing pulsed faintly with residual magic. He read aloud. To the moon's convergence, you've awakened what should have stayed buried. You hold 5 alpha bloodlines and a 6th that does not belong to this world. Surrender yourself before the next eclipse, or we will take you piece by piece. This is not a threat. It is a promise. We do not fear the moon. We hunt it. The forest went quiet. Ren's throat went dry. A 6th bloodline. Ezrin stared at the S. Scroll, brow furrowed. It's not possible. I'm human, Ren said slowly. Or I was. No human blood carries what they're describing, Ezrin said. There's something else in your lineage, something even I haven't seen in records. Nox stepped between her and the others, protective. We don't need to know what it is right now. We need to move. We can't just run, Dante said. We'll lead them to the village. We're not going to the village, Nox replied. We're going to the Hollow. The Hollow. The name struck silence into the group. Even Ezren looked uneasy. You think that place is still standing? Nox nodded. It's hidden, warded, and steeped in old magic. If Ren has a sixth bloodline waking, it might be the only place strong enough to contain her energy and shield her from being tracked. Lorik was already moving. Then we leave before sunrise. Jax looked at Ren. Can you travel? I can, she said. I have to. As they moved quickly through the woods, Ren walked beside Nox. What is the Hollow? It's where the moon first touched this world, he said, where the original pack made their bond. A sacred place sealed long ago to protect what's buried there. What's buried there? Nox hesitated. Souls, secrets, maybe answers. She swallowed hard. Do you think what they said is true? That I carry something unnatural? I don't care if you're half moon, half storm, or something we don't even have a name for. He said, you're you. That's all that matters. His words should have soothed her, but the scroll's threat echoed in her mind like a drumbeat. By the time they reached the Hollow, the sun had begun to rise, casting pale gold light through the trees. The Hollow was unlike anything Ren had seen. The clearing was circular, carved out by nature or magic itself. At its center stood 5 ancient stones, arranged in a star pattern. Vines grew over them like veins, pulsing with faint blue light. The air hummed. Ezren knelt and brushed snow from a symbol carved into the central stone. This is a gatekeeper sigil. We'll need blood to open it. Nox sliced his palm without hesitation and pressed it to the stone. Nothing. Dante did the same. Still nothing. One by one, each of them tried and failed. Finally, all eyes turned to Ren. Her heart pounded. I'm not sure I can. Try, Ezin said gently. You're the key. Ren stepped forward, hand trembling. She nicked her palm on a sharp stone edge and pressed it to the sigil. The ground trembled. The vines peeled away like peeling skin. The stones glowed brighter. A door of light sheared into existence above the soil. And then an ancient voice whispered, Moonheart, we remember. Ren stumbled back, breath hitching. The doorway opened. Inside was a chamber of moonstone walls and floating crystals glowing faintly with silver. Carvings danced across the surface. Images of women bearing pendants like hers, standing beside wolves crowned with starlight. Ezrin stared in awe. These are the originals, the Moonborn. At the center of the chamber was a stone altar, and above it hovered a pendant identical to Ren's. She stepped toward it. As her hand neared the relic, the room dimmed and filled with a deep thrumming tone. Ren's head snapped up. A symbol flared across the back wall. It wasn't a wolf. It was a dragon. Chapter 7. Dragon Blood and Moonfire. The image burned into the stone wall wasn't like the others. No wolf. No crescent moon. No pack sigil. Instead, it was a creature carved in sweeping fire-shaped lines. A massive beast with wings flared and mouth open in a roar. A dragon, crowned in flame. Ren stepped back, chest tight. That's not a mistake, right? Ezrin's voice was hushed, reverent. It's not. Jack stared at the wall, unblinking. That symbol hasn't been seen in generations. Because they were hunted out of existence, Dante muttered. Or so we thought. Nock stepped to Ren's side. The lines of his jaw tight. Dragon blood. That's the 6th lineage. Ren's thoughts spiraled. But I thought dragons were legends. They're more than that. Ezrin said they were Moon's first creation, the keepers of fire, the balance to the wolves. When the wolves grew too many, the dragons pulled back. Their bloodlines became myth. Until now. So I'm part dragon? Ren said, trying to wrap her head around it. Ezrin shook his head. You're not just part dragon. You're the first known convergence. You're lunar wolf and dragon blood in one body. Nox's breath caught, which means, Ezrin nodded, you carry both the bond and the burn, the alpha pole and the celestial fire. That's why the rogues are hunting me, Ren whispered. It's not just my wolf. It's the dragon inside me. Dante frowned, and that's why 5 alphas were drawn to her. Not just for pack balance, but to cage the flame. I don't want to be caged, Ren said sharply. I didn't ask for any of this. Nox looked at her gently. No one said you did. Lorik stepped closer to the wall and touched the dragon carving. There's more here. Another glow shimmered across the surface. Hidden writing revealed itself beneath the image. Ancient script that only Ezrin could decipher. When the moon meets flame, the world is born anew. If bound in love, the light shall rise. If broken in fear, the world shall burn. A chill passed through them all. It's a prophecy, Jax murmured. Ezrin nodded. A warning. If Ren's power is mishandled, if she's rejected, shattered, or corrupted, it could destroy more than just packs. It could undo the world's balance entirely. Ren pressed a hand to the stone. It was warm now, thrumming like something inside her had clicked into place. I felt it, she whispered. Back when I shifted halfway, there was something in me trying to roar, not howl. It scared me. Nox stepped behind her, close but not touching. We'll help you control it. Ezrin looked grim. That might not be enough. Everyone turned to him. There's only one recorded method of balancing dual blood convergence, he said. The Moonfire bond. What's that? Ren asked. Ezrin hesitated. A sacred ritual, ancient, dangerous. It binds the dragon and wolf halves through a mate claim. Nox tensed. You're saying she needs to choose one of us? No, Ezrin said. I'm saying she needs to choose all of you together. Silence fell like an avalanche. Jax blinked. That's not possible. It's never been attempted, Ezrin admitted. But the convergence exists in her. 5 alpha poles, 1 dragon core. To balance her soul, she must bind both natures. That means sharing the mate bond with all 5 of you. Dante crossed his arms. That's not how the bond works. Ezrin raised a brow. Neither is any of this. Ren's head spun. You're saying I have to mate all of you? No, Nox said quickly. No pressure. No one's forcing anything. Ezrin added, the Moonfire bond doesn't require the physical act of mating. It's a soul ritual, a heart vow, one forged under eclipse light, sealed in magic. Jax frowned. But if she doesn't do it, Ezrin looked at Ren, then your wolf will never balance with your dragon, and the power inside you will either consume you or everything else. The pendant around her neck pulsed again, brighter than before. Ren felt heat build behind her eyes. What if I'm not strong enough? Nox turned her to face him. You are. You don't know that. I do. I've seen you survive more in 3 days than some do in a lifetime. You stood your ground against the council, against your fear, against us, and you're still standing. His hand hovered near hers, trembling slightly. You don't have to choose now, but you need to accept one thing. We are yours and you are not alone. Ezrin stepped back. We'll need to prepare. The eclipse is 2 nights away. The rogues won't wait, Lorik said. No, Ren agreed, voice steadier now. They'll come for me before I'm ready. Nukes met her eyes. Then we'll be ready first. That night, the hollow became a fortress. Wards carved into stone, circles of ash, blood runes. Ezrin coached Ren through breathing meditations, calling to her inner fire without unleashing it. She felt it deep in her bones, a low, curling heat coiled at the base of her spine. It didn't howl, it rumbled. It didn't seek a hunt. It watched, waiting, the dragon in her. She wasn't afraid of it now. She was beginning to understand it. But the real test was yet to come. Outside the hollow, on a distant ridge, a dark figure watched. His eyes were gold and cruel. He held a carved obsidian blade in one hand and a scroll in the other. Behind him, dozens of rogues shifted one by one into monstrous forms. The time was nearly upon them, and the moon heart would either fall or awaken. Chapter 8, The Soul Binding. The hollow pulsed like a heartbeat. Ren stood barefoot in the moonstone chamber. The cold floor ground her even as heat surged beneath her skin. Around her, the 5 alphas formed a loose circle. Each of them is silent, focused, and tense. Ezrin held the sacred blade. It wasn't made for harm. Its curved silver edge bore runes that shimmered with soft lunar fire. At its center, a drop of molten crystal hovered, suspended by magic. The blade was ancient, used only in the Moonfire Bond, a ritual so old it had passed from memory into myth. Until now. Nox was the first to speak. If you're not ready, I am, Ren said, voice steady. Her heart thundered in her chest, but her fear had turned to resolve. She couldn't change what she was, couldn't undo the blood that flowed through her veins, or the prophecy now etched into her bones. But she could choose how she met it and who she allowed in. Ezrin handed her the blade reverently. The bond begins with truth. 1 cut from your palm offered to each alpha. You choose who receives the connection. They must offer theirs in return. Ren nodded. Her fingers tightened around the hilt. Then she stepped forward. She faced Jax first, the wild one, reckless, sharp-edged, but loyal to a fault. His wolf burned bright and untamed. Ren lifted the blade, drew a line across her palm. The sting was quick, but the rush that followed made her knees shake. Jax mirrored her cut, their hands pressed together, and a golden spark shot between their palms. He inhaled sharply, chest shuddering. I feel you, he whispered, in my marrow. Ren stepped to Dante, steady, fierce, a warrior's soul. He had doubted her once, but never again. Their blood met, and a second pulse rang through the chamber. Crimson light swirled around their feet, curling like fire. Your flame, he said gruffly, is not meant to be tamed. Toyek next, quiet, observant. The shadow in the corner who always watched and protected their hands touched, and a cold wind swept through the chamber followed by warmth. Lorik's eyes flared silver. You are the storm, he murmured, and I would stand in your path 1,000 times. Ezin waited with calm patience. His bond to her wasn't rooted in instinct. It was intellect, spirit, ancient memory reborn. Their blood connected, and the air shimmered with arcane symbols. His breath caught. You are knowledge and chaos, he said, the breaking of an old world and the start of a new one. Finally, she turned to Nox, the one who had seen her from the start, the one who hadn't demanded anything, only offered everything. Ren sliced her palm again, hand trembling as she reached for him. When their hands met, the chamber howled. A shock wave rippled through the hollow, knocking dust from the ceiling and causing every stone to vibrate. The glow that erupted around them was not silver or gold or red, but pure white. He only leaned forward, pressing his forehead to hers, and she felt it. The bond, not just to one, but to all. 5 threads spun from her soul, anchored in theirs, balanced by her dragon, bound by her wolf. Ezran stepped back, voice shaking with reverence. It's done. Ren stumbled slightly, overwhelmed by the magnitude of it. I didn't feel pain. You wouldn't, Ezran said. Only those who resist the truth feel pain. You accepted all 5, and they accepted you. She blinked. So, I'm safe now? The chamber trembled. Outside, howls erupted wild and furious. No, Knox said. Not yet. Ezran grabbed his staff. The rogues are here. Jax shifted instantly, his bones cracking and reforming into his wolf's massive frame. Dante, Lyric, and Nox followed suit. Even Ezran's eyes shifted to storm gray, his magic already rising around him. Ren turned toward the chamber entrance. I have to fight too. You don't know how yet, Ezran said. I don't have to, Ren replied. They're hunting me. Then I will end this. She sprinted out of the chamber and into the moonlit hollow. Dozens of rogues had emerged, monstrous wolves with red glowing eyes and gnarled fur. Their leader stood at the front, a tall, gaunt shifter cloaked in shadows. His name echoed in Nox's growl. Sable. Sable grinned. Ah, the Moonheart herself. You don't have to do this, Ren called. You can walk away. I could, Sable said, but I won't. That power inside you, it belongs to us. It should never have been gifted to one girl. The dragon magic must return to its rightful line. I am its line, he sneered. Then you die with it. The rogues surged. E-alphas met them head-on. Fur and fire collided. Ren stood back at first, watching the battle unfold in a blur of teeth and claws, of snarls and screams. Ezran hurled a ward that exploded in a sphere of light, knocking 3 rogues off their paws. Nox ripped through 2 more, his jaws drenched in blood. And then Ren felt it, a scream rising inside her. Not from fear, from power. The dragon within her awakened. Ren lifted her hand, and fire erupted from her palm. Not ordinary fire, moon fire, silver, gold, and burning like the sun. The rogue nearest her shrieked, body disintegrating in a wave of light. She turned, eyes glowing, arms lifted. The dragon roared through her, wings formed behind her made of light and magic, and her feet left the ground. She hovered above the battlefield, her aura stretching wide. Even Sable faltered. No, he hissed. No, this isn't possible. Ren's voice rang like thunder. I am not your weapon. I am not your prize. I am the moon's equal, and you will not touch my pack. She brought her hands together, and a circle of fire spread from her in every direction, carving through the rogues like a cleansing wave. Sable was the last to fall, snarling, screaming, and then silence. Ren dropped to the ground, breathless. Nox caught her before her knees gave out. It's over, she whispered. Ezran looked at the clearing, at the fallen, at the surviving 5 alphas. No, he said softly. It's only just begun. Chapter 9. The Moon's Equal. They called her a miracle, A curse breaker, a goddess, a monster. By the time dawn broke over the hollow, word had already spread. Whispers flitted through the wind like smoke. The moon's heart has awakened. The dragon fire burns again. Ren stood alone at the center of the clearing where the rogues had fallen. The ashes of the battle were still warm. Her body ached, but not from pain, from the pressure of power coiling beneath her skin. It hadn't left her. The fire, the wings, the dragon, the moon. She was all of them now. Nox approached from behind, his steps quiet but deliberate. She didn't turn. She felt him even before he spoke. "How are you standing?" "I don't know," she said. "I'm afraid if I sit, I won't get back up." He offered a soft chuckle. Then silence. "Then they'll come for you again." "Others?" "I know. Some to worship, some to destroy. I know that too." Nox finally stepped beside her, his gaze fixed on the horizon. "And us?" She glanced at him. "You're still here. I always will be." For the first time since the fire had burst from her palms, Ren let herself breathe. They weren't wrong. "I changed everything, didn't I?" "Not everything," he said. "Just enough." Behind them, the others gathered. Jatz's arm was in a sling, his grin, despite it, undeniably. Dante stood like a stone, ever vigilant, and Lurik cleaned a blade that hadn't left his side all night. Ezran carried books and scrolls already, researching again, thinking ahead. Together, they looked like war-forged guards, and yet all of them stood still, quietly waiting for her. Ren turned to face them. "I don't know what comes next," she said, "but I know who I am now. I'm not just a girl from a bar. I'm not just a mate. I'm not even just a wolf." Ezran stepped forward. "Say it." Ren lifted her chin, eyes glowing faintly. "I am the moon's equal, dragonborn and wolfbound, fire and fang, and no one will take that from me again." The stone circle around them flared as if answering her declaration, reacting to her voice. A shimmering dome of energy pulsed up from the ground and vanished into the sky. Ezran blinked. She stabilized the hollow. Lore's brows lifted. Without a spell, without effort, Ezran said. Nox turned to Ren. "Do you feel it?" Ren nodded slowly. "Balance, finally." The bond between her and the 5 wolves wasn't burning anymore. It was no longer raw, unformed, or threatening to tear her apart. It had settled. A constant hum in her chest, a resonance like shared breath. She didn't belong to one alpha. She belonged to all 5, and more importantly, to herself. Then a breeze stirred the air, cold, scented with dust and winter. Ezran turned sharply. Something's coming. A rustle in the trees, a shimmer of silver dust across the ground. And then without warning, a tall figure stepped into the hollow, clad in white. Eyes the color of obsidian, skin marked with ancient lunar runes. Ren tensed. The woman smiled. Moonheart. Nox stepped forward instantly. "State your name and purpose." "I am Ellerin," the woman said. "Priestess of the Silver Order, keeper of the Eclipse Gate." Ezran's eyes widened. "That order hasn't appeared in over 100 years. "They do, when prophecy is fulfilled," Erin said, her gaze fixed on Ren, unwavering. "You lit the fire, broke the curse, and balanced 5 alpha lines. The old world trembles, and a new one stirs." Ren's fingers tightened around her pendant. "What do you want to deliver a message?" Erin said from the moon herself. Jack scoffed. "Now the moon sends messengers?" She always has, Eren replied coolly. You simply weren't listening. Everyone went still. Eren extended her hand, and a scroll of silver parchment unfurled in the air. A glowing script appeared before their eyes. Ezran read aloud. To the flame and the fang, you are not the end. You are the bridge. What was lost will rise again through you. The other will awaken soon. Guard your soul, guard your heart, for one you love will fall, and only your fire can bring them back. Ren's stomach dropped. The other? I don't know, Ezran admitted. But this isn't a prophecy, it's a warning, Jack muttered. So much for peace. Nukes took Ren's hand. Then we prepare. Ellerin gave a nod of respect to Ren. You are no longer just part of the prophecy. You are its center, and the world will rise or fall on the choices you make next. Then she vanished. No sound, no scent, just moonlight where she once stood. Ren let out a breath. I finally understand something, she said quietly. Dante raised a brow. What's that? Why did my scent trigger 5 alphas? She replied. Why none of them were meant to fight over me? Nox asked gently. Why? Because I wasn't meant to be claimed, she said. I was meant to lead. The hollow pulsed again. The fire stirred. The dragon in her opened one glowing eye and smiled. Chapter 10. Heartfire and Blood Oaths. The hollow no longer felt like a sanctuary. It felt like a crucible, preparing Ren for a destiny that kept growing heavier with every heartbeat. The words of the moon's messenger still echoed through her. Guard your soul, guard your heart, for one you love will fall. She tried not to think about which of the 5 that warning might be about, but every time she looked at them, Nox's fierce loyalty, Dante's solemn silence, Jax's defiant courage, Lorax's watchful eyes, Ezran's quiet wisdom, her chest ached. She would not lose any of them. She couldn't. That night, the hollow burned with candlelight. Runes carved into stone pulsed faintly beneath their feet. Ezran had prepared the Heartfire Circle, a ritual of protection older than the Council. Older even than the Pax. This is not just a shield, he explained as the others stood around Ren. It's a vow, a blood-bound promise between fated souls. It can't be broken. It won't just protect her. It will tie our lives to hers. What does that mean exactly? Dante asked. If Ren dies, Ezran said solemnly, you die with her. Silence fell. Jax whistled softly. High stakes. Lorik folded his arms. We don't hesitate. Nox didn't even blink. Start the ritual. But Ren lifted her hand. No, she said. Not yet. All 5 of them turned to her. I won't let you bind yourselves to me unless you understand what it means, she said. This isn't a claim. This isn't instinct. This is a choice forever. I don't want loyalty. I want the truth. She turned to Dante first. You trust me? He nodded. Once with my life. Even if I choose peace and you want war. His jaw clenched, but he nodded again. Even then, to Jax, would you follow me if I walked into fire? Hell yes, he grinned. I'd carry the torch to Lorik, even if I failed. You won't. He said, but I'd follow you even then. To Ezran, even if I rewrite the laws you've studied your whole life, his eyes warmed. I think you were born to finally to Nox. Even if I ask you to stand still when everything inside you says run. He didn't speak, just stepped closer, took a hand, and pressed it to his chest. My heart beats for you, he said, whatever pace you set. Ren swallowed the lump in her throat and stepped into the circle. Ezrin began the chant. Ancient words are power-heavy. The air thickened with magic. The candle flames rose higher, casting long shadows against the hollow's walls. Ren closed her eyes. One by one, the alphas joined her, hands outstretched, their blood mingling with hers in the shallow stone bowl at the center of the circle. The pendant around her neck glowed white, hot. Suddenly, pain. Ren gasped, clutching her chest. A thread of fire surged through her heart, racing along her veins. Not physical pain, soul deep. Like something was tearing open to make room for something greater. The heart-fire bond. She saw visions, snippets. Nox alone in a blizzard, fighting to find her. Jax laughed as he bled in a battle. Dante kneeling over a fallen brother, howling into the sky. Lorik holding a pendant like hers over an empty grave. Ezrin burned books to protect secrets he swore never to share. All of them, their truths, their heartbreaks, their choices, and then her image image, standing in a circle of flame, eyes glowing gold and silver, a queen of two worlds. The dragon and the wolf, the moon and the fire. When her eyes opened again, the ritual was complete. The blood in the bowl had vanished, absorbed into the stone. The flames died down, and the mark on her palm had changed. No longer just a cut, it was now a crescent moon entwined with 5 stars. Ezrin looked at her with awe. It worked. Jax reached forward and touched her shoulder. "You okay?" "I don't know," she admitted. "I think I am." Dante stepped outside the circle and sniffed the air. Trouble's coming. Ren turned sharply. "How do you know?" "I can feel it on the earth." He said, "Something's wrong." Then they all felt it. A vibration, low, distant. Ezrin pulled. "It's a summoning from who?" Morik asked. Nox stiffened. "Council?" Ezrin shook his head. "No, this is older, Crutter." Jat's eyes narrowed. "You mean?" Before he could finish, a burst of silver light exploded in the sky above them. A sigil shimmered high above the hollow, spinning and burning. It was the symbol of the first circle. Ezrin cursed under his breath. "Ye ancients," Ren's brow furrowed. "I thought they were a myth." "They're not," Ezrin said grimly. "They are the original shifters, the ones who shaped the first bonds. They've been silent for centuries until now." "What do they want?" "To test you," he said, "to see if you're worthy of the power you now hold. And if not, what? They'll take it. The heart fire, the moon fire, all of it." Ren stared up at the glowing sigil in the sky. "So let them come," she said. And inside her chest, the dragon purred. Chapter 11. Trials of the Ancients. They came with the morning mist. No sound of footsteps, no scent to track. One moment the hollow was quiet, still humming with the fading echo of the Heartfire ritual, and the next they were there, 5 of them, figures draped in dark, run-stitched robes, their faces hidden behind ornate silver masks. Their presence shifted the very air, making it thicker, colder, and older. Ezrin knelt immediately, head bowed low. First circle. The others froze. Even Nox, whose instinct was to protect first and question later, held back. Ren didn't kneel. She stood, chest high, eyes clear. The lead figure stepped forward. His mask bore a twin-headed wolf, one howling, the other silent. "Ren Callahan," he said. His voice was layered like more than one being spoken through him. "You bear the moon's mark and the fire of the first flame." "I do. You've broken no laws," the masked speaker continued. "Because you answer to none," the others behind him stirred. You've awakened something ancient, something buried. I didn't mean to, she said carefully, but I won't apologize for it. Nor should you, the speaker said. But power without understanding is a wildfire. The ancients offer you a choice: submit to judgment or burn alone. Nox stepped forward then, fists clenched. She won't be judged by strangers. She won't be judged at all, Ren corrected. But I'll face your trial on my terms. Jax muttered, "Here we go." The lead ancient tilted his head. "Name your terms," Ren's heart thundered, but she didn't hesitate. "I'll take the trials alone, but you will not interfere with my mates, my hollow or my bond, while I do." "Accepted," said the speaker. A second figure stepped forward. Her mask was carved with a crescent moon and scales. 3 trials: body, mind, soul. Fail one and you forfeit the fire, Lorik muttered. "Sounds fair." Ezrin stepped beside Ren, whispering, "I'll do what I can from here, but the trials are older than magic. Be careful." The first circle raised their hands, and the hollow around them twisted, melted, until Ren stood in a vast open plain under a burning sky. Alone. No pack, no Nox, no dragon, just silence. And then the first voice boomed. Trial 1. Body. Suddenly, Ren was not alone. 10 wolves surged from the edges of the plain, each identical to one of the rogues she'd faced. But these weren't real. They were illusions, memories. They circled her low to the ground, growling. She didn't hesitate. Ren moved, not as she once had, but faster, stronger, a blur of silver energy. The fire inside her pulsed to life, coating her skin like armor. She dodged one, rolled beneath another, and sent a blast of moonfire at a third. It vanished in a burst of ash. Another charged her flank, and she spun, letting the momentum carry her into a high kick that crushed its throat. It dissolved, too. One by one, she took them down. No hesitation, no mercy. And when the last dropped, the voice echoed again. Trial 1 complete. The plane shifted again. This time she stood in a room of mirrors. Endless reflections stared back at her. All versions of herself. Some afraid, some angry, some crumpled in grief, some glowing with fire. Trial 2, mind. Ren's breath caught. The reflections began to speak. You're a fraud. You're just a bartender with a broken past. You didn't earn your power. They don't love you. They love your magic. They'll leave. They always do. Each voice struck like a whip, but Ren gritted her teeth. No. Her voice echoed across the chamber, silencing the reflections. I am not perfect. I've been scared. I've been weak, but I'm still here. I faced death, betrayal, and monsters, and I didn't break. She reached forward and shattered the mirror with her bare hand. The room dissolved. Trial 2 complete. And then darkness. Not physical, but soul deep. She couldn't see, couldn't hear. Only feel. Trial 3, soul. A familiar voice echoed around her. Not the ancients. Her mother. Sweet, gentle, long dead. Ren, baby, don't forget who you are. Mom, she whispered. Another voice. Nox's. Come back to us, Ren. Then others. Dante's growl. Jax's laugh. Ezring's wisdom. Lorik's quiet strength. You are the bond. You are the balance. You are ours. The darkness tried to swallow her, but Ren dug into the light inside her chest. The fire, the love, the truth. I am the moon's equal, she whispered. I am a dragonborn. I am a wolf. I am flame. I am heart. Light exploded from her. The darkness screamed and vanished. Ren awoke, gasping in the hollow, flat on her back. The ancients stood over her. One by one they bowed. You have passed. Ezrin's eyes shimmered with tears. She did it, Lorik whispered. Jax hooped. Dante's fist clenched. Pride, not anger. Nox knelt beside her, gathering her into his arms. I knew you would. The lead ancient removed his mask. He was old, older than any man Ren had ever seen. But his eyes were kind. You have earned your place. You are not just the moon's equal. You are its hope. And then, in a breath of silver mist, the ancients were gone, but their words remained. So did the fire, and so did she. Chapter 12. Ashes and Crowns. The hollow was quiet, but not with peace, with reverence. Every pack within the realm had heard the call of the first circle's judgment. Word spread like wildfire. The moon's equal had survived the trials. The dragon fire lived. Ren stood at the cliff's edge, overlooking the vast, silver-drenched forest that had once seemed endless and now felt like hers. A wind moved through her hair, and the pendant around her neck pulsed faintly. Behind her, the 5 alphas stood like sentinels, silent, guarding, watching, waiting. Nukes stepped forward first. They're coming. How many? Dozens, maybe more. Some to pledge loyalty, some to challenge. Ren turned to him, her eyes no longer just human or wolf, but glowing faintly with inner fire. I didn't ask for a crown. No, Ezrin said softly from behind her, but you earned one anyway. Jax tossed an apple up and caught it. You should pick a throne, too. Something tall and dramatic, with horns or skulls or something. Ren laughed, despite herself. I'll think about it. Lorik approached, his brow furrowed. This isn't a celebration yet. The last trial was a warning. Ren nodded. Someone I love will fall. No one said anything because they all knew it could be any of them. Nox broke the silence. Then we stay close, watch each other's backs, and don't take chances. Ezrin stepped into the center of the hollow, his staff pulsing with light. Before anyone arrives, there's one more ritual that must be done. Ren turned, surprised. Another one? Ezrin nodded. You've bound the fire, passed the trials, but if you're going to lead, if you're going to carry the title of the moon's equal, ... You need to be crowned under its light. He raised his staff to the sky. By fire and fang, by moon and marrow, we call upon the right of sovereignty. The stones around the hollow pulsed, each one flaring with ancient runes. Above, the clouds parted and the blood moon rose. Ren's breath caught in her throat. The red light kissed her skin and her bones ached. Not from pain, but power. The kind of power that came from knowing you were meant for more. Nox stepped into the circle beside her. Are you ready? No, Ren whispered, but she stepped forward anyway. Ezrin began the chant, and the 5 alphas moved in perfect synchronicity, each offering a single element. Jax dropped a flame from his palm into the center basin. Dante placed a sword. Lorik offered a vial of his blood. Ezrin laid down a scroll of runes and Nox. Nox handed Ren a broken crown. She blinked. What is this? It was your mother's, he said. Ezrin found it buried beneath the hollow. A relic from the lost line of flame bearers. Ren reached for it slowly, reverently. The crown wasn't gold or jeweled, but forged of obsidian and moonsteel. It shimmered with something older than royalty. She placed it on her head, and the hollow exploded with light. Not fire, not fury, but recognition. The ground stopped pulsing. The stones stopped glowing. And a voice, not from the ancients, not from the moon, but from deep within the hollow itself, whispered. The flame has returned. Ren stood breathless. Nox moved to her side. Then the others followed. Ezran smiled. It's done. And then a scream, sharp, agonized. They all spun toward the forest and saw a figure stumble from the treeine, bleeding, clawed, burned. Dante ran forward first, catching him before he fell. Talon. Jax's smile vanished. The young scout, barely more than a pup, had been sent to patrol the southern ridge. Now he lay in Dante's arms, shaking, eyes wide. They're coming, he gasped. So many shadows. Who? Ren knelt beside him. Talon's lip trembled. The blood marked. Ezran stiffened. No, who are they? Ren demanded. Nox's voice was low. Rogues, but older, darker. They marked themselves with dragon blood. They don't want power. They want destruction. Talon clutched Ren's wrist. They said they want the Moonheart alive. He collapsed, unconscious. Jax swore. How long do we have? Hours, Lorik said. Maybe less. Ren stood. The blood moon glowed brighter now, as if daring her to act. She looked at each of them in turn. Nox, Dante, Jax, Lorik, Ezran. Then she spoke, clear and sharp. Gather every willing pack. Fortify the hollow. Prepare the shield runes. Evacuate the children. Ezran stepped forward. And you? I'll meet them first, she said. Alone. Nox growled. No, not alone, Ren said. With you, with all of you. But I lead this time. No more hiding. No more running. She turned to the fire basin, reached in. The flames didn't burn her. They welcomed her. She drew them into her palms, and the crown on her head began to glow. Ashes are for endings, Ren whispered. But crowns are for wars. Chapter 13, Fire at the Gate. The Hollow had never known war until now. Ren stood at the outer edge of its protective stones, where the trees thinned and the sky opened up like a mouth, ready to swallow light. The energy in the air crackled with something ancient, something hungry. Nox stood beside her, sword strapped to his back. His eyes never leaving the horizon. They're here, I know. She felt them even before the wind shifted, before the first howl pierced the morning fog, before the blood-marked banner rose against the silver sky. A tide of shadow poured from the woods like a river of wolves, massive beasts matted with ash and blood. Crimson sigils burned into their fur and bone. These were not normal rogues. These were blood-marked. And at their center was a tall, armored figure cloaked in dragon hide. He carried no weapon. He was one. Ezran's voice cut through the rising fear. That's Varric. Ren turned. Who is he? A former alpha, exiled, obsessed with dragon blood and forbidden fire magic. He once tried to burn a pack of his own children to awaken the moon's wrath. And now, Ezran's voice dropped. Now, he wants you. The blood-marked began circling just beyond the boundary stones, silent, calculating. Ren stepped forward. I'm not hiding. Nukes grabbed her arm. We're not letting you go out there alone. Jax appeared on her other side, twin blades in hand. Let's give them a greeting they'll remember. Dante and Lurik followed. Ezrin raised his staff. The five formed a protective half-circle around Ren. Varric finally stepped beyond the line. He was huge, taller than Dante, broader than Nox, his eyes dark as obsidian. He stopped 10 paces away, just outside the protective warding. He grinned. So the bartender turned into a goddess. Do you know how long I've waited for your scent to rye? Ren's eyes glowed. You'll get nothing from me. I already have, he sneered. I watched the first circle crown you. You walk with a dragon's fire and a wolf's fury, but you don't deserve either. You came here to test that. I came here to take it, he said. Nox growled. You'll have to kill us first. I intend to. Varric raised a hand. Behind him, the blood-marked roared. The battle began. Ren braced herself as the protective wards around the hollow pulsed. The first wave of rogues slammed into the invisible barrier, shrieking as it burned their skin, but the shield was already weakening. Ezrin cursed. They're using rune breakers. I thought those were banned, Lorik shouted. Varric doesn't follow rules. Cracks splintered through the air like glass shattering. The barrier was falling. Ren turned to Ezrin. Drop it. What? Drop the shield, Ren. We fight them on our terms, she said. We fight them as a pack. Ezrin nodded grimly and raised his staff. With a whisper of magic, the ward vanished and the wolves charged. Nox met the first head-on, colliding with a brute twice his size and throwing it across the field with raw force. Dante flanked left, ripping through the rogues like a silent shadow. Lorik moved like a phantom, fast, efficient, lethal. Jax danced through the chaos, laughing like a madman, blades flashing. Ezrin stayed behind Ren, casting barriers and fire bursts, protecting her as she moved through the heart of the storm. But Ren didn't stop fighting. She was looking for one target. She found him. Varric stood in the center of the chaos, untouched, watching, waiting. Ren walked toward him. He noticed and smiled. You come to me like a lamb. No, she said, like a storm. She raised her hand, and fire erupted from the ground beneath him. Varric leapt, twisting in the air, landing hard but unburned. He grinned wider. Good, you'll make this fun. They collided. Fists, fire, flame, fury. He was strong, stronger than anyone she'd fought. He moved like a monster, fought like a god. But Ren had something he didn't. She had a heart and pack. A howl broke through the fray. Nox's, then another, Dante. One by one, her alphas came to her side. Together, they unleashed. Jax took out Varric's flank. Lorik slashed his thigh. Dante and Nox hit him like twin thunderbolts. And Ren burned him. Not with fury, but with truth. I don't fight because I want power, she shouted. I fight because I love this pack, this world myself. Varric screamed as her fire engulfed him. It wasn't magic. It was soul. He collapsed, defeated. The remaining rogues fled into the trees. The war was over. The hollow stood bloody, bruised, but whole. Ren fell to her knees, exhausted. Nox dropped beside her, pulling her close. It's done. Ezrin approached. No, not yet. Everyone turned. He pointed toward the burning battlefield. One of the alpha stones, long dormant, was glowing. Jack stepped forward. What is it? Ezrin smiled faintly. It's choosing a new ruler. Nox blinked. Who? Ezrin looked at Ren. The one it already has. The Alpha Stone rose, hovering in the air, and melted into Ren's chest. Her pendant vanished. In its place, a mark shimmered across her collarbone. Half moon, half flame. Ren Callahan wasn't just a leader. She was Alpha Queen. Chapter 14. The night the moon stood still. The hollow was still burning when the moon froze in the sky. Not literally, but it felt that way, as if time itself had paused to watch what would happen next. Smoke curled above the treetops, and the silver light overhead didn't flicker, didn't move. It just watched. Ren stood in the center of the hollow, blood drying on her arms. The Alpha Stone now fused to her collarbone, still glowing with ancient fire. Her breathing was shallow, but her posture was tall. Her 5 alphas, Nox, Dante, Jax, Morik, Ezrin, formed a circle around her, eyes sweeping the tree. Trine, waiting for another attack, but none came. Only silence, only stillness, until she's not supposed to exist. The voice wasn't from the woods or from any of the survivors gathering beyond the hollow. It came from above. Ren looked up and gasped. Descending slowly in the sky like a moonbeam turning corporeal was a figure cloaked in silver and white. He shimmered like he wasn't fully real. His eyes were hollow voids, yet filled with stars. In one hand, he carried a staff that bled starlight. Ezrin stepped forward, eyes wide. "That's a celestial." Jax blinked. "You mean like an actual spirit of the moon?" "The guardian of balance," Ezrin said. "They only descend when the world is tipping." Nox put himself between Ren and the spirit. "Then why is he here now?" The celestial touched down without sound. "The earth beneath him didn't bend because she has upset the order." Ren took a step forward, voice steady. "If you're talking about Varric's defeat," the spirit raised a hand. "Not high." "Not him, you. The moon's equal was prophesied to be one of pure wolf blood. You are not." Ren lifted her chin. "I didn't choose to be dragonborn." "No," the celestial agreed. "But you chose to rise." Behind Ren, Dante growled. "Is that a problem for the old laws?" "Yes," the spirit replied. "For the new world? Perhaps not." The moon above pulsed. The hollow stones trembled. "Another trial?" Lorik asked bitterly. "No," the celestial said. "A choice?" Ren frowned. "What kind of choice?" The spirit lifted his staff and drew a glowing circle in the air. Within it bloomed a vision. Another realm, darker, wilder, ruled by something vast and ancient, the moon's domain. The spirit spoke again. "You now hold both halves, flame and moon. To protect this world, the hollow must not remain in the hands of one who walks between." Jack scowled. "So, you want her to give it up?" The celestial turned to Ren. "Leave this realm. Take your alphas. Lead the lost and broken into the moon's domain. Become its guardian. Let this world remain balanced." Ren's heart was hammered. Nox's voice was sharp. "And if she refuses, the balance will break," the spirit warned. "And with it, the bond." "No," Ren said. "You can't threaten." "I don't threaten," said the spirit. "I foresee one of them will fall unless you choose." Ren turned slowly to her mates. Dante, fierce and unshakable. Jax, wild but loyal. Lorik, calm and clever. Ezrin, wise and willing. And Nox, her banker, her beginning. "How long do I have?" she whispered. The celestial tilted his head. "Until moonrise tomorrow. Then the balance is decided for you." He vanished in a burst of starlight. The hollow was silent once more. Ezrin was the first to speak. He's right about one thing. This kind of power, your kind, can't exist in a world still clinging to old laws. Jax kicked a stone. So what? She just leaves. Walk into another dimension. Dante's jaw clenched. And what about the Pax who meet her here? She'd be leading in a realm even older than this. ... Ezrin said quietly. A realm where broken wolves go to be healed, where orphans of war and magic roam wild. That world has been abandoned for centuries. She could rebuild it, Lorik said. Ren said nothing. Not until Nox stepped close and asked, "What do you want, Ren?" Tears welled in her eyes. "I want peace. I want to stop running. I want to protect the Hollow. But I also feel cold, like something beyond me is waiting." Nox touched her cheek. "Then we go." Her breath hitched. "What?" He smiled. "Wherever you go, I go. Even to another world." Dante rolled his eyes. "You make it sound so romantic." Jack shrugged. "I'm in. Sounds like a hell of an adventure." Lorik nodded. "We've never fit in this world anyway." Ezrin smiled faintly. "Someone has to map the moon's domain." Ren looked at each of them, one by one, and then at the frozen moon overhead. "Then we leave at moonrise." That night, they gathered at the Hollow's heart. Every survivor, every pack that had fought beside them, stood in silence. Ren stood before them, in a white cloak stitched with silver threads. The obsidian crown sat lightly on her head. She spoke, voice ringing with warmth and power. "The Hollow is yours to lead, to protect. I walk into the unknown, not because I must, but because it's time for all of us." She lifted her hand above her. The moon moved again, rising higher, glowing brighter than any had ever seen it. A silver doorway shimmered to life between two ancient stones. Ezrin turned to her. "Ready?" Ren looked at her mates, her bond, her heart. Yes. And together they stepped into the light. Chapter 15. Her name in the stars. The stars looked different here. Not like pinpricks on black velvet, but living, breathing things moving with intention, forming constellations that shifted as she walked beneath them. The sky and the moon's domain pulsed with soft silver light, and the land glowed with bioluminescent moss and crystalline trees. Everything here shimmered with forgotten magic. Ren stood at the edge of a lake that reflected not just the sky, but the past. Her memories glowing across the water's surface like fireflies. Her first shift, the night she met Nox. The trials, the crown, the kiss beneath the blood moon. Behind her, the 5 alphas watched silently as she took it all in. They'd crossed through the moon gate less than an hour ago, but already the world felt lighter, like the rules of time and gravity bent for her. Or maybe because here she wasn't just Ren Callahan, she was queen of the Forgotten Realm. Dante stepped forward first. "This place smells ancient and lonely," Lorik added. "No wards, no signs of pack structures." Ezrin observed, eyes glowing faintly as he examined the trees. But everything's pulsing with potential. The land remembers leadership. "It's been waiting, waiting for her," Nox said simply. Jax threw his arms wide. "Well, looks like we've got a whole realm to rule. Who's in charge of building me a tavern?" Ren smiled softly. But inside her, something stirred. The lake rippled. From its center rose a figure, ethereal, half-transparent, cloaked in the silver of eternity, a lunar spirit. The others stepped back, instinctively wary, but Ren stepped forward. "You've come far," the spirit said in a voice like chimes in the wind, "but you carry a question." Ren nodded. "Why me?" Luna drifted closer. "Because only a soul fractured by both fire and moonlight could unite this world with the one you left behind. You are not just the balance. You are the bridge." As stars above shifted again, forming 5 wolves circling a central flame, Ezrin whispered, "The old prophecy, the 5-fold bond." The lunar spirit nodded. "This realm will not survive without a heart, without fire, without love." Ren swallowed. "And the bond, it won't break." The spirit touched her forehead and warmth spread through her. "The bond is eternal now, not because of magic, but because of choice." Nox stepped beside her. "What happens now?" The spirit smiled. "Now she speaks her name and the land listens." Ren turned to her mates, her strength, her fire, her laughter, her calm, her stars, and then she turned to the sky. She drew a breath. "My name," she said softly, "is Ren Callahan. Once a girl behind a bar, once a stranger in a wolf's world. But now," she lifted her hand to the sky, "I am the moon's equal, the flame bearer, the bridge." The stars ignited, one by one. They lit up until they formed her name in ancient runes across the heavens, a crown of constellations. The lunar spirit vanished, leaving only silver petals in the wind. The realm pulsed. The ground beneath them shimmered with new runes. Towers began forming from stone and root. Homes, walls, sanctuaries, a place for the broken to heal, a kingdom for the misfits, a sanctuary for the wild. Ezin dropped to one knee. "My queen." Jax did the same. "Yeah, all right. But I still want a tavern." Lorik smiled faintly and knelt in the glowing grass. Dante followed, head bowed. Nox didn't kneel. He walked to her side, took her hand, and held it in his. "My equal," he whispered. Ren's heart surged, and the realm answered with light. Above them, her name remained written in the stars, eternal and luminous. And in the quiet that followed, Ren finally let herself believe the impossible. She was no longer the lonely girl behind a bar. She was a legend. She was loved. She was home. Thank you so much for staying till the end. I am dying to read your comments. If you enjoyed listening to this story, please hit the like button, share it with someone who'd love this, and subscribe to Nightbond Narratives, and ring the bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Tell me in the comments below which part of the world you are watching from. Also, tell me which part of the story you like the most. Compilation of a video of an audiobook takes a lot of tea.